Here at SON Development, I bang on quite a lot about real world training, real practical training that makes a difference. But what do I mean by that? I like to focus on the theory really fast, get that down, and then spend more time thinking about how can we apply it, and you actually practicing it, trying it, put it into practice, getting it wrong, but learning from that. Because for me, that's what learning is really all about. Let me give an example. We're going to talk about teams. And if you've got a team, if you're a leader or a manager of a team that's not quite working very well, there's all sorts of things you can do to make it better. And there's lots of management theory about how to do that. One theory is Patrick Lencioni's 5 dysfunctions of a team. So what I'm going to try to do today is to cover the theory of that really fast, and then just a few minutes more about what you practically can start doing today that could make a difference. So here goes. First, the theory. So what Lencioni says is that there's 5 reasons, if you like, there's 5 layers as to why teams don't work very well. The first one, at the root of it, is a lack of trust. So there is not trust amongst the team members, and there is not trust in you as a leader. That leads to people being scared of conflict. They don't want to disagree with what other people think or do, so there isn't any conflict, there's no challenge, or if there is conflict, it's really unpleasant. As a result of that, people won't commit, so they won't put their head above the parapet to get things done for the team. They tend to avoid making decisions. That means there's no accountability, or they rely too much on you as the leader and they don't challenge each other. And ultimately, the team doesn't focus on team objectives. They tend to focus on their individual objectives, and they either leave, or worse, they stay and work against the team. And then what can happen is, as an organisation, you can have organisational results in, say, things like revenue or profit. If those results are really good, then no one knows how they were really good, but everybody pretends they were part of it, of course. But if those results are really bad, no one knows why they're really bad. People bang on about how bad they are. Everyone gets upset, but no one knows how to fix it. Well, obviously, you can't solve the problems overnight. But if you know the theory, then you can start to think practically, what can you change that can make a difference? And I reckon the best starting point is looking at yourself. So if you're a leader or a manager of a team, ask yourself these questions. Do you operate in an open way? Do you put yourself in a position where you are vulnerable? Do you accept and operate knowing that you are not perfect? Now, I have been that dysfunctional team leader. I have been that leader that's up their own backside, thinks they know everything, thinks everything they do is perfect. And that's because I thought that was the right way to be. But what I discovered over the years is if the leader is arrogant, certainly believes they're perfect, trying to set the highest standard, the problem is that your team can never meet your standard. They can't achieve what you can achieve. And the risk of that is they stop putting themselves in a position where they can be exposed to falling short of your standards. They don't want their faults highlighted. Therefore, there isn't any conflict because they don't challenge each other, certainly not in front of you. They don't want to be accountable for things because they might get things wrong and you'll be unhappy with it because they're not meeting your standards. If the way you act with them demonstrates that you can't share your vulnerabilities, then don't be surprised that they're not prepared to share their own vulnerabilities either. They're not prepared to be open about what they're good at and what they're less good at, because you can only fix things if you know what it is that needs to be fixed. So here's a challenge for you. Today, do something that demonstrates that you're not perfect. Now, obviously, you need to give this some thought. You need to put a disclaimer in here. I'm not responsible for your actions, right? You make your own decision about what that thing is. But my challenge to you is, can you do something? Can you say something? Can you act in a way, or can you talk about something that puts you in a position of vulnerability? Cuts through this impervious shield of steel that you're perfect and you've never got anything wrong and you're setting that standard that everyone needs to meet. Now, it will be uncomfortable. It will be difficult. The first time you do it, people will probably go, that's a bit weird, and they'll carry on. The second time you do it, they'll go, that is weird, but that's happened a couple of times. What's going on here? And the third time you do it, they might start to notice and they might start to think there's something a bit different here. Now, this will take time. You will have to keep going at it. But eventually, over time, if you can show a bit of vulnerability, if you can demonstrate that you do get things wrong, you're not perfect, that can then help to build their trust in you. And then your team will be prepared to get things wrong. And they'll be prepared to make mistakes, but learn from those mistakes because the environment they're making them in is safe. That healthy environment creates a really good team. A team that wants to look at what's going wrong and wants to change it. And then they want to work on solutions together on a peer-to-peer basis. There's healthy conflict because it's a safe environment. You've got a healthy team because they're supporting each other. And importantly, they don't need you as the leader at the middle of everything, either A, micromanaging, or B, setting this aspirational standard that no one else can ever achieve. So that's my challenge to you. Try doing something that demonstrates that you can be vulnerable, you can get things wrong, or talk about something that you've got wrong. Now, I'm not here to help you with this bit. Obviously, if I was working with you and your organisation, I'd help you with this bit and the other 4 things you can work on as a team. So you're a little bit on your own, but being on our own, stepping outside of or to the edge of our comfort zone, that's where we learn. Okay, I might not have quite covered the theory in 30 seconds. I might not have even quite covered the practical quite in 5 minutes, but it didn't take a week. And doing something here to improve your team today is faster than you spending a week on a management training course covering a whole load of theory that you put in a folder, you go home and you never look at again. So that's what I mean by learning. Look at a theory really quickly and then fast. How can you put that stuff into practice? Try it out, get it wrong, keep learning from it and eventually growing and getting better at what we do. I'd be really happy to hear how you've gone. Obviously, if you want some advice for your organisation or some coaching or ideas or whatever, reach out and contact me. So try the trust thing. It could be life-changing. Certainly for you, definitely for your team, but only if you're brave enough to do it. See how you get on. Let me know.